Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another pick a card. Today's pick a card, we are taking a look at what you can't currently see right now. Now what I mean by that is right now there's a lot of shifts and changes in the collective. The retrogrades are retrograding. It's just been very intense the past couple of months. There's a lot of transformation going on. A lot of us are feeling very heavy and going through a lot of shifts inwardly, outwardly, and this reading I wanted to set up to really take a look at what you can't see. So sometimes when there's a lot of shifts going on, we can't even see beyond what's in front of us. It's almost like we're being put in an egg and everything outside of us is being moved and changed and we can't see it yet. And that can feel confusing, that can sometimes feel scary, that can sometimes trigger us. So I really wanted to take a look in this reading at what you can't see is happening right now. Another thing that could come up in this reading is you could be moving through certain emotions and energies right now that your brain might not even be able to comprehend or make sense of. They may be clearing, but you might not understand what's coming through, which can lead to confusion and can sometimes lead to fear. So what we're doing is we're kind of like ripping that off and we're going to try and bring a voice and put into words what may be going on in your energy field right now. So whichever one it falls into, this reading's meant to be kind of like a light in the dark to maybe give some sort of perspective as to what may be going on right now or what you can't see. Even if you have been feeling super good, this reading can aid in really helping you see where you may be headed or what's going on that, you know, is kind of in your blind spot, which you're not really seeing. So I actually pulled out two decks that really helped me get to like the deep subconscious energies and what's hidden. So I have got my Deviant Moon Tarot deck. The only thing is there may be images that YouTube might not like on that deck. So I'm not going to hold the cards like straight up like this. With that deck, I'm just going to lay them down. And I've also got my blind spot oracle, which I always use to take a look at any blind spots. So I've really made sure that we've got the tools to get in where we need to get in. So without further ado, we're going to get in. I have three objects to choose from. Pile one is the pyrite crystal. Pile number two is the shell. And pile number three is the lavender pouch. So see which object you are drawn to. The timestamps are going to be in the description box as usual, and I will see you guys at your timestamp. Hey pile one, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what it is you can't see right now. So you guys chose the pyrite. I'm going to start with your tarot cards, the Deviant Moon tarot cards, and then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. So let's get in. So pile number one, please spirit guides, pile number one, tap me into the collective of my pile number ones. Tap me into the collective of my pile number ones. What can't my pile number ones see? Right now I just keep being showing different flowers starting to bud. Like I'm being shown like the bud and then the flowers are like opening one by one. It's like ever folding rows, but it's like different flowers. Like I'm being shown different layers of petals folding over, folding over, folding over. That's what I'm being shown in regards to what is happening in your energy, but we'll see what that means in a second. Pile number one, the pyrite pile, please spirit guides, what can't my pile number one see right now? We have the Two of Pentacles. What is happening right now, and I will say, is a strong pendulum swing to the other side, meaning there is a very big shift maybe in the way that you're perceiving things because you've outgrown your current environment. Now when I say environment, it could be just the way you look at life. It doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It doesn't mean like, oh, you've changed. It means that the pot you were in, you've grown, you've understood the entire part, you've made your way around the entire part, you've grown, your roots have covered that entire part, you've grown as far as you can with the path that you were on. You are now being repotted, which means that you are now in an even bigger pot with new soil, with new conditions, and now you have more room to grow and understand things from a different perspective, which means that it's kind of like with a spiritual awakening where sometimes you'll reach a point where you feel like you've reached all there is to know, like you feel like end game, like I've just completed this level, and then all of a sudden like you have this beautiful like completion, like I know everything and I have this inner peace, and then you kind of push through the wall, like you're pushed through the ceiling, and then you're at the beginning of another level and you're like, actually I know nothing, and now I have to adapt something completely different because we're no longer on level 1, we're on level 2. So there's something in regards to your energy that you've been very, very focused on for some time, to the fact that you've reached an inner peace and there's kind of like a completion there. The pendulum is swinging and starting to swing to the other side, and now you are growing into the soil and understanding things from a different perspective again, which means that you're having to adapt and learn, which can bring about a lot of confusion because you're used to doing it one way. And the reason it's happening is for you to balance out another side of yourself. When we are only looking at things through one lens, we don't understand the full story, you know. Sometimes when we look at things from a very spiritual lens, and that's the only lens that we look at things from, there sometimes can come a point where we go so far that way we forget to be human, we forget the physical body, we forget you know, the challenges and tribulations that human beings go through, because we're looking at it from the soul purpose and lesson. And even though it's great to look at it from the spiritual perspective, we also need to remember that we chose to incarnate as human, and there's ways to look at it in other ways too, to bring a full rounded point of view, you know. And it goes the other way, where some people can look at things from a very logical perspective, but then they can get stuck because they're not understanding the more spiritual side of it, and too much of anything can create an imbalance. And I think that you've beautifully reached all there is to know in an area, and now something's been flipped on its head for you to look at it in a different way. It doesn't mean that what you were already doing is wrong or that it was a wrong path. It means that you've completed that level and now you're adding another layer to see it from another perspective. And what you want to do is use the wisdom from that layer that you've just accomplished and completed and understood and gained wisdom from, and use it to find wisdom where you are now. It doesn't mean that that other layer was wrong. You can now use that as a tool to further understand this new part that you've been planted in. And that's a strong message coming through with this Two of Pentacles. Pile number 1. Pile number 1. What do my pile number 1s not see right now? We have the Three of Pentacles. I'm not going to show this straight away to the camera because it might be a bit, I don't think YouTube will be very happy about it. We also have the Hierophant as well. There's something you mastered, completed. When I say the cycle's over, it's like when you complete a course, the course is over, you've learned all there is to know. For you to keep learning that same thing on that course, it wouldn't make any sense because you'd just be going over the same things you've already understood. There's no room for growth. However, now it's time to put what you learned in that course into action. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening for you guys. Pile number 1. What do my pile number 1s not see? We have the Ace of Pentacles reversed as well. And the back of the deck, we have the Five of Swords at the back of the deck. Okay, you know what I think for a lot of you guys, there is a strong focus pulling you into the material and physical world, because I think that you guys are quite highly psychic, and I think that you guys are usually very focused internally, very focused on like I see like the analytical mind, you know, where can I improve internally, where can I heal, what can I work on, and again, it could be spiritually, like you could be looking at things through a spiritual perspective. You're being really rooted into your physical body right now and into the material world to make moves, because I feel like it feels like you've just passed a course. Now this could be literal, you could have literally just passed a course and you're being called to bring that into fruition. Or it could be that, again, there was a strong focus maybe on your psychic gifts or building them up to a degree. You're no longer in the passenger seat now, you are now in the driving seat. So now it's time to get the car into gear and actually head out there and head on the road. So there's this feeling of bringing something into the physical and mastering something in the physical, or just paying attention to the physical world right now. I always say a lot of the times with the spiritual journey, it kind of goes around in cycles, where I tend to see a lot of people, they'll reach like a high level of connecting with spirit, and then they'll kind of root into their physical body and root into like Mother Gaia, because when you go outside and you look at nature and you look at the way nature is created and the beauty of nature and the format of how like flowers kind of grow and the way they grow, that's a complete like screenshot of how the universe creates. And to really understand like the great I am and why we're here, we really need to understand our roots and understand nature, you know. And it could be that you guys are being pulled into nature and into your physical body right now, understanding your physical body. A lot of the times as well with healing and doing a lot of healing work internally, our body needs time to catch up. And as well as trauma being stored energetically inwardly, it can be stored in the body too. And I feel like some of you guys may be being called to focus on the physical body and anything that's coming up for you there. Some of you guys are being called to really root into the physical like nature, but then others of you are actually being called to make moves in the physical, especially if you have been practicing something or been in an internal state for some time. It's almost like I need to bring that out, I need to physically get that out, I need to like maybe set up a business, I need to start putting things in motion, I need to like, you know, make certain moves or create a certain level of stability here in the physical now that I've learned everything I need to know spiritually. So there's a shift, there's a swing of the pendulum that's coming in for a lot of you guys with the Three of Pentacles. Some of you guys may be being ushered into starting your own business, there's something about being independent, and I see people either looking up to you or people depending on you, or I see you guys starting something with a Hierophant and the Three of Pentacles in the middle. It's like I see you guys starting something with the wisdom that you've learned. And it could even be just like doing internal healing and helping people with that. But there's something about that coming through where there's something you've gained, and you're all going to know what I'm talking about to some degree. Over the last couple of years, there's a strong focus in which you've mastered. It's now time to bring it into the physical, or you've just built the house, now it's time to get inside and furnish it. You've just passed your driving test, now it's time to get on the road. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting, because with the Ace of Pentacles reversed, because that's been such a strong focus in one state with the Two of Pentacles on the other side, I feel like you've mastered something, but it means that there may be a lack elsewhere, which for a lot of you guys I do feel is in the physical, and now you're being ushered to that other side to turn this Ace of Pentacles that is reversed upright. You know, when we look at dragons, they breathe fire. Fire is alchemy. So it's like with that wisdom that you just learned here, you're now being swung to the other end to alchemize and turn something into fruition. It's like in Super Mario when you're like right at the back playing Super Mario Kart and you're losing, and then you get the bullet and then it shoots you forward. The wisdom that you've learned in this stage, wherever you've been, that's the bullet that's going to shoot you forward. 100%. So that's really what I'm strongly picking up for you guys. I want to pull some guidance from Spirit as well, but I just feel like there's this feeling of the house is built, put the hammer and the spanner and the tools down. I don't think you need a spanner to build a house, I don't know, but I've never built a house, I wouldn't know, but put the tools down. It's now time to like furnish the house. It's now time to get creative and put ideas into the house, you know what I mean? Actually, maybe you've been in the creative process for some time, so now it's time to like build, actually physically build the house, you know? Some of you guys may be going through a personal year number 4. Some of you guys may be building a business literally. Yeah, some of you guys may be building a business literally. Some of you may be going through a 10th house perfection year, I'm being told. There's something about the physical being a strong focus. So let's pull some messages from your spirit guides. That's what's going on in your energy, and it's that feeling of like when, like I always say, when the tide's all the way out and it starts making its way in, and it's like, oh, you know, like now the tide's coming in, I don't know how to feel. I've got used to the tide being out. I've understood what that meant, you know. When the tide was going out at first, I was trying to hold on to it and bring it back in, but it was going out. Now I've accepted it. Now it's okay. Now I'm just looking at the sand and I can see everything and I'm fine with it. But now all of a sudden the current's changing and the tide's coming in, and now I'm confused, you know, because now it's time for that tide to come in. And it's like, I wanted the tide to come in before. Like I was waiting for this to come in, but now I've reached that state of like, well, it's out and I'm focused here, and now it's coming in. It's like, okay, all right, well, I've been learning to swim, so let's put that to the test. Let the water come in. Let's see how I deal with the waves now. So that's kind of what's happening here. Because for some of you guys, I think maybe you've been in isolation for some time as well. And I think maybe some of you guys are prepping for people to come into your life, whether that be relationships and friendships, or maybe life may be starting to get more fast paced, and that's what you're prepping for energetically. And that shift in your energy may be like, what's going on? And especially if you've been looking at things from such a high perspective, and now you're being rooted into the physical, that may be a shift. You may be thinking, where have my gifts gone? Why am I not seeing things from a high perspective? Why am I only focused on the present? Allow yourself to flow with that, because there's a reason for it, you know. Allow yourself to flow with that. You still have that wisdom. You're still able to tap into the higher perspective when you need it, but I find the universe always gives us the tools to equip us with what it is maybe shifting and changing. And I think you being rooted in the present and maybe looking at things a bit more logically, that's a tool to help you manage with what it is that's shifting for you guys right now. So pile number 1, any guidance from pile number 1, spirit guides? Any guidance from pile number 1, spirit guides? Any guidance from pile number 1, spirit guides? We have the Lovers. Any guidance from pile number 1's spirit guides? We have the 2 of Wands. And we have the 7 of Swords. Interesting. Back of the deck, you have the King of Pentacles. That's interesting. The Lovers. Okay, hang on. The Lovers, 2 of Wands, 7 of Swords. When the tide first started to go out, okay, imagine the tide was all the way in, you were used to it. The tide stopped you seeing the ocean bed, meaning the tide stopped you seeing things truly for what they were. Okay, the tide stopped you from seeing people's true colors, people that may have not had your best intentions. The tide may have stopped you from really seeing the reality of things that could have been a little bit painful for you. So when the tide started to go out, you would have been holding on to it because it's like, oh my God, what's happening? You were starting to see the ocean bed for the first time, and you were starting to see maybe the dangers of that ocean bed. But what Spirit equipped you with was the knowledge from Spirit and the understanding from Spirit for you to face these fears dead on, for you to face maybe certain betrayals dead on, so you could understand why things happened and you were able to clear it. Now that you understand this, now that you understand discernment, because you understand what's under the ocean bed, you understand all of this, the tide's coming back in, and now you're going to be learning, you know, what fishes to swim with, where to put your feet when the water's there. You might not be able to, you know, you might not physically have this like full understanding of what's there on the ocean bed, but you have the wisdom, the understanding, and you remember what you've learned. So now you remember where to put your feet, because you remember where those creepy sea urchins were. They were trying to, you know, I was going to say suck your toes. That's really weird. But, you know where the crabs were. You know they were going to, you know, pinch you. So it's like, you know where not to stand. You know what type of sea creatures not to trust. And you also have that wisdom from before to kind of flow with that tide. So now the tide's coming back in. Yes, it's a little bit frustrating. But with the 2 of Wands in the middle here, I feel like you've now gained such a really strong perspective and a lot of wisdom that you're able to just flow with that tide coming in, and you're able to now make moves while that tide's coming back in. Because I do feel like when I think of the tide coming back in, I'm thinking of all the fishes that kind of like swim to the shore. I think life may get a little bit fast paced. You may be very focused on your career and work. I think new people may come in. So you're going to be more focused on the present day. So you're not going to be as hermit as you were, in such a downloading stage as you were. Now you're putting that to the test, but it's equally as spiritual, it's equally as beautiful. You're going to learn as much lessons, but now you have the wisdom equipped, because there'll come a time again, because nothing stays the same, where the tide will then go out, and you'll maybe have to, like, you know, it's like going around in the circle. You'll be growing again in a different pot. So that's really what's happening for you guys right now. You're in another pot. and you're learning and understanding that with the wisdom you've already had, and you're growing again. And I think the physical world is going to start mirroring the internal world and the shifts you've made, and I think connections are going to come in, and I think that's where you're going to be bringing your wisdom forward and that discernment that you would have learned from, you know, the past situations. So let's pull your blind spot card to end the reading. So pile number 1, please, spirit guides. I'm hearing for you to stay open to all possibilities. I had that strong message come through. Some of you guys may be Clairaudient. I just shared, stay open to all possibilities and trust yourself. Trust yourself. Pile number 1. Final card for my pile number 1. So that came out pretty easy. So we have this card. And I'm going to check the book to check what card this one is. So the sigil that you guys have is the sigil of reactivity. Right now with these shifts and changes, and things kind of like flipping over, imagine like there's a bunch of stones and they're all flipping upside down. So you're seeing another side of it. Naturally, you may be feeling like you want to react out of old feelings of insecurities, feelings of fear. You may be wanting to emotionally react to these shifts and changes that are happening right now. You may be feeling fear, feeling out of control because the way that you were looking at life is starting to change. Maybe you're looking at things more logical and it's like, why am I starting to look at it like this? I was used to look at it in a different way. There's almost this message coming through with this reactivity sigil of to find your inner peace and really just root and ground and observe right now. Because observing the way your mind's taking things in, and observing the way that your what emotions are coming up, and observing what's happening around you right now and where your focus is starting to turn onto, that is going to show you the path that you're now walking on. Once you understand that and you settle into it, you'll be able to bring through the wisdom that you've learned and start walking it. Because this isn't an end and a closure. It's a shift of a cycle. You know, it's not like the door's shut and now I'm learning something different. I was once this way and now I'm this way. All of what you've learned on that other path is now inside you. It's all part of you. Now you're on another path with the wisdom that you've already learned. It's not detached and gone. It's safe, tucked in inside of you. And you can now go in and find those tools to equip you, as well as the new tools that you're going to find moving on this path. So don't react emotionally when these emotions come up and these fears come up. Allow yourself to feel them. But right now, I think there's a strong focus on the present and the physical, because the back of the deck, we have coping. The sigil that we have is coping. And I think that maybe while you were going through a lot of these shifts that's happening to spirit, there may have been maybe certain coping mechanisms that you held on to. Or that was just the way that you were moving on that path, and that was the version of you that you formed to walk on that path. But that version of you is now starting to transmute because another version of you needs to emerge to walk on this other path, you know? And you wouldn't have got to this path if you wouldn't have walked the other one in the first place. So while this new version of you is being created, and I do feel there's a strong focus in the present, there's going to be parts of you that you may have created that you no longer need, and they're able to fall away or transmute into something better, you know? So whatever tools are falling away, allow them to fall away, because nothing dies, it's only transmuted and reborn. Everything we lose comes back to us. Winter happens, so spring can happen. So if you're feeling a little bit, you know, I feel a little bit detached here, I feel a little bit cut off here, stay present, because it's going to return around in another form, in the form of a tool needed on this path that you're on. You know, and it's going to help you grow into this pot you've just been placed in. Because if you stayed in the other pot, you wouldn't have grown. You already mastered it. You're now about to grow into this other pot and grow even bigger and taller and see things from a higher perspective again. You're not lost. You haven't fallen back. You're evolving, which means you're on the right path. Because, you know, you're changing and moving, just like the universe is always changing and growing, just like the seasons are always changing and growing, you know? A lot of newness is afoot for you guys, but you know, it can feel a bit but I know you'll adapt because you always do. And that is the message for you guys, pile number 1. So that is what I have for you guys. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you enjoyed. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching. And hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pile 2, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what you can't see right now. So you guys chose the shell. I'm going to start with tarot and then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. So let's get in. So pile number 2, please spirit guides, tap me into the collective of my pile number 2s. What can't my pile number 2s see right now? What can't my pile number 2s see right now? Tap me into the collective of my... Have you had brain fog recently, or have you just been maybe like processing a lot of heavy emotions that you're just kind of like, I don't know anymore? Because the minute I tapped in, I felt like I was in water that felt like it was bubbling, and I'm just like, I'm so focused on the fact that it's bubbling and I'm hot that I don't even know why I even jumped in the first place. I just feel a fog. Like I don't feel that cool right now. Like that's a feeling that I'm picking up. So give me a second to sit in this because I might have trouble for a second while I get used to the energy. But it will get there, I promise. Pile number 2, please spirit guides, what can't my pile number 2s see right now? What can't my pile... Hang on, your card fell on the floor. Oh yeah, of course, we have the 5 of Wands that just jumped straight out. Pile number 2, what can't my pile number 2 see right now? We have the Hanged Man. What can't my pile number 2s see right now? What can't my pile number 2s see right now? I'm hearing The Climb by Miley Cyrus. We have the Ace of Pentacles. What can't my pile number 2s see right now? We have the 8 of Swords, which I want to put... I'm going to put pile 1's crystal over the indecent part, but we have the 8 of Swords for pile number 2, and then we have the 2 of Cups. Actually, let me cover that up a bit. We have the 2 of Cups at the back of the deck. Are you going through a situation with a partner or a family member that you did or do hold a lot of love with? That's something that I'm picking up here. It could be the memory of it, or you guys are cleansing and purging feelings that are connected to someone that you were once connected to, maybe karmically. And it's almost like you can't see through maybe a trigger right now, or you can't see through something maybe you're purging right now. And that's why I'm being shown, and it's funny you chose the shell, because I'm being shown like an oyster, like a clam, like an oyster shell, and you're the pearl, and the ocean current is getting really strong, so that pearl is being popped inside this like oyster, and the shell is shut in to keep the pearl safe. That is basically what I'm being shown for you guys. Like there's a lot being moved and a lot that I feel like you guys are clearing. Has someone recently triggered something that is connected to your inner child wounds, or something very deep inside of you? Like someone's triggered maybe like abandonment wounds, or you guys not feeling supported or loved or taken care of. Or it could be that maybe this Venus retrograde that we're in, if you're watching this at the time I'm putting it up, maybe you guys are having a return of a cycle where maybe it's not necessarily the person, but there's a memory, and it's almost like I'm being opened and being made aware of these feelings again. And the feelings that I'm feeling is like, I don't feel enough. I don't feel like you're giving me what I deserve. I don't feel that you're respecting me. It's almost like you may be even seeing the truth of a situation. Like you could have like projected your light onto people or seen the light in somebody, and now you're really starting to see, well, actually even though I see and have these high hopes for you, you're not meeting them. And now this is causing me to feel like abandonment wounds, or this is causing me to feel anger that maybe I haven't processed, or this is causing me to feel frustrations of my needs not being met, which makes me feel rejected, which may be connected to your inner child wounds of maybe in childhood where your needs weren't met by certain parents, so then maybe you had to take care of your own needs or bury your needs deep down and maybe project that, oh, it's okay, I didn't have needs anyway, whatever, and maybe projected that your parents were maybe what they weren't to kind of survive through that, and then you've gone into relationships doing the same thing, and I think that's kind of triggered. That's what I'm seeing for you guys right now. So I'm actually being told to say the process because I feel like it's something that you're going through. A lot of you guys in childhood would have gone through, there's needs that wouldn't have been met. There's parts of you that would have been rejected. There's parts of you that would have had to be suppressed for you to, in your inner child mind at that time, survive and get through childhood. When children are young and they don't have a need met, or they're not taken care of in the way they're supposed to, or they're not deeply loved in the way they're supposed to, and they're not taken care of, what children will do to adapt, because human beings adapt, they will suppress that need, and then they will project onto the parent that that need was met, or that they didn't need that, you didn't have that need in the first place, or maybe they'll see that that parent didn't have that need met either, and they'll go and give that to the parent and almost self-sacrifice and pour into the parent and take on a different role and become what the parent needs, when really it's the parent that should be what the child needs. But the child will do that to protect itself, because the brain is a lot to manage for the baby, you know, the human psyche as a child. And a lot of the times then that child will grow up to project what they wish they could have onto the parents, but then also onto friendships and partnerships growing up, because that's what they would have learned from young. I'm not going to receive this, I'm not going to receive what I want, so I'm going to project it onto certain people. And what the inner child then does, what the child then does when it grows up, is it seeks out relationships and partnerships where that cycle continues, and they hope that that person can finally fit into that mold. So they'll find a relationship where that person is probably a mirror of the parent, maybe emotionally unavailable, maybe has you know, certain substances they're attached to, or certain vices they're attached to, or you know, there's a level of healing that that person may need that mirrors the parent. And they'll enter that relationship in the hopes of, if you become what I need you to be, then I'm finally worthy of receiving that love. If you become what I need you to be, I'm going to keep projecting on that onto you until you become it, and then I'm finally able to receive that. So the inner child tries to solve their lack through relationships. What then happens is there'll come a point where that adult that's still looking at things through that lens, and it's not that adult's fault, that's how they were raised, they had to do it in order to survive. They may find that a lot of relationships and friendships, there may have been a bit of rose-tinted glasses put on, where they're looking at the light of that person, they're looking at the higher perspective of that person and what that person can be. And a lot of the times that person, they're not going to change and become that. Sometimes they're not going to take on that role, and that's a really hard pill to swallow, because what that does is it not only cracks their rose-tinted glasses, but it then has us look at that person, you know, that we've bigged up to be, and that person that we thought was going to change for us, and it has that adult then, it's like a crack happens, and all of those feelings of abandonment from childhood and triggers from childhood and these deep feelings from childhood that were repressed of, well, why am I not good enough to have that love back? Why am I not good enough to have what I give out back? Why am I not good enough? All of those feelings that child is buried, that crack will happen where that adult's had enough, and then they start to process those feelings. Why was I not good enough? Why can't you be what I need you to be? And a lot of the times what can come is anger. I've actually had this happen for myself, where I would experience waves of anger, where I was like, F you, you know, F you. I deserve way better than that. I can't believe I was waiting for you to, you know, come back. You know, I can't believe I was waiting for you to choose to be a parent to me, X, Y, and Z. And I'd feel this wave of anger. And it can come in different ways. It can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be those feelings of abandonment, it can be frustration, and it's heavy because this has been bottled in from young, and that cycle is repeated as we've got older because we were looking for that parent to choose us through our partnerships and our friendships. And that's when we have to really feel into these feelings that come up and really see people, our parents, for what they were. And a lot of the times there's reasons why people aren't able to become that. Maybe they have gone through maybe they've been burdened and been, you know, pushed to their limit, and their heart's maybe gone cold, or they're not able to give the love that you're able to give, or they're not able to show up in the way that you needed them to. But you also, as a human being and as a child, would have had needs that weren't met and had feelings that you now need to express, you need to release, and you need to hold space for. And you're very valid in any feelings that come up, no matter what is the higher reason, because there is always a higher reason as to why things have happened. Whatever the higher reason is, first and foremost, you need to understand how you feel, you know? It's not a case of, oh, but it made you stronger. If there's feelings coming up, you know, when you were young, you didn't need to be strong. You needed to be looked after and held and loved the way you were supposed to. And understanding that can have this feeling of grief, and can have this feeling of sadness come up. That's what you need to process right now, because I feel like that's what's happening right now. And right now, that's why I'm being shown you put in an oyster to really deal with this process and deal with these feelings. Because had you, even with these feelings coming up, you know, opened up to like relationships and partnerships, you could then maybe be in risk of other people coming in and causing more damage to that shell being open and being vulnerable. And you could act in very emotional, reactive ways, which wouldn't be fair on you or the other person. So you're almost being popped in this shell right now to deal with this release and this purge while it comes out, because it's once it's come out, you are then, with this Ace of Pentacles, going to understand things from a different perspective. You are then going to be able to see whoever this person is that may have triggered it, but also parents, whoever it is that's contributed. You're going to be able to see them in a different light. You're going to be able to see them for what they are. And there's no more, oh, I wish you'll turn into this, and holding out and waiting for that apology, or waiting for somebody to be what you need them to be. You're just going to continue being what you are for yourself, and opening up to the people that have done that work on themselves too. So there's going to be something that's gained, where it's going to be safe then for new connections and relationships to come in, because you understand your boundaries and you're able to see things clearer. But before, you would have been looking at things through the eyes and lens of your wounded inner child. And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, with like love, and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, this type of relationship keeps happening for me, or I've been on my own for some time. It could be because there's still a way you may be looking at things that could cause the same type of people to come in and cause you hurt. And that time in isolation, or that time with that trigger that's come up, that time to really feel into that wound, it's having you look at love, or looking at that situation in a different way. And it's not a punishment, it's you being protected in that shell until you see it differently and are able to see people without those glasses on. And then you're able to welcome in people that look just like you, because you're able to see them for what they are, and not projecting who you are on the inside onto other people, or what it is you'd like met onto other people. You're able to really see people and go, oh, you have what I need. I look for safety in relationships and you make me feel safe. Here we go. Instead of, I'm looking for safety in relationships and I'm going to project it that you can give this to me, even though I haven't seen the qualifications yet, I haven't seen the resume. And there's that shift that comes in, and I think that may be what's happening for you guys right now. But because of that process of emotions coming up right now with this Eight of Swords here as well, you may not, you know, it's going, I'm not gonna lie, it's going to feel difficult. There's going to be painful emotions that come up. There's going to maybe be repressed memories that come up, because your inner child's going, yes, this is, you know, now that crack's happened, your inner child's going, yes, this is how I felt, and this is what I had to repress, and this is how, you know, I felt like I wasn't worthy, or I felt this way, or I felt that way. And it's your turn to hold space for your inner child and allow your inner child to grieve Allow these feelings to come up. Allow all of that to come up, because once it's out, it's gone. And when you're feeling something, even if you can't quite comprehend what you're feeling, it's an indicator that something's being moved, meaning it's no longer right down at the bottom, layered at the bottom of the subconscious, playing out in your reality anymore. It's being moved, and it's being moved upwards to come out, you know? So something's being moved in your energy right now, and that's why things may be feeling like they're stalling. Or you may have met someone recently that's triggered the same wound, and it's that same thing that is almost like the universe is like, look at this, this is what's happening. Because I feel like someone might have come in and mirrored you, or there's a wound of somebody in the past that mirrored these wounds back from young. And that's what you're processing and working through right now. So let's get a message from your spirit guides before we get your oracle cards. So pile number 2, what message does pile number 2 spirit guides have right now? The only instruction you have right now is to feel. You know the Barbie movie, and she's like, the elderly woman's like, close your eyes, now feel. That's what I'm hearing. Pile number, and I know it's heavy, because I've been through it myself. I know it's heavy, and I know it's really difficult emotions coming up, and I'm with you, and spirit's with you, you know? I'm holding space for you here. Cry, scream, shout, get frustrated, whatever, let it out. It's safe here to do that. If you need a vent, in the comments, it's a safe space to vent. I make sure it's a safe space to vent. So if you need to do that, you can do that. I don't take it personally when people vent in the comments, because that's, get it out. It's a safe space, you know? We all go through it, we all feel it, and I'm with you, and spirit's with you, and I know that these feelings are going to be deep and heavy. Again, I've been through it myself. Because really it's the inner child waiting for that parent to change, and having to understand that parent isn't going to change, and that is how that parent is, you know? But it's mirrored through people sometimes. And it can trigger just as much as it did. And the thing is, it's sometimes not even a case of, oh, it's that person, and that person meant this to me and that to me. Like when we do relationship readings sometimes, and people will be like, oh, this, you know, no contact, what's happening, like, you know, what's going on in this situation. A lot of the times, the reason we feel connected to that person that's going no contact, or we're feeling this strong connection to that person that's hurt us, it's very rarely about the person. It's the wound that they've just touched. And it's deep, you know, it's deep, it's karmic, and it's deep. It's very rarely about necessarily the person. It's the feeling and the wound that it's mirrored, because it's hurting just as much as it did when that wound originally was created. And it can be heavy, you know. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2. What message do pile number 2 spirit guides have for them? 6 of Pentacles. You give out so much, and the thing is, you deserve that back. And I feel like with certain connections that you've been having, you haven't been having that back, you know. Knight of Cups. Maybe you were taught to overgive, because then it's like, I'll get a smidge back. If I give loads of love, and if I overgive, then I'll get a tiny bit of love back. And maybe you're coming to that realization of like, I give and give and give, I'm not getting anything back. Why is that, you know? And balancing that out. Pile number 2. The Star. Just because you have a lot to give doesn't mean that people should bleed you dry. Just because you have a lot of love to give doesn't mean that people should just bleed you dry and just see you as like a lighthouse to just suck the light out of, you know. People should want to give back to you, not because it's like, oh, just give and take. It's like people should honor you and give back to you, and the love and what it is you pour into people, you should have that back. Otherwise it's an imbalance. And yes, we want to give to people without the sense of like, oh, I need this back, but sometimes subconsciously it's like, I'm giving because that's how I've learned I'll get love back. And that's not true. You just being you and who you are deserves love back, deserves respect, deserves to be treated right, you know, in whatever type of connection that is, friendship, family, relationship, even in work, you know, because sometimes we'll settle for less in work and we'll overgive in work and we'll get pennies back because that's how our brain may be set up. And that's not fair either, you know. We have the Ten of Pentacles at the back of the deck. Okay, message from your spirit guides. Ten of Pentacles at the back, Six of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, the Star. There's definitely a transmutation and a rebirth that's going on for you guys right now. I even think this last couple of months has really been bringing a lot to the surface, which is where maybe this trigger would have come up. But you are the whole ocean. You shouldn't be settling for little raindrops. And I almost see some of you guys coming to your wit's end of like, I don't deserve this. I really don't deserve this. And it's bringing up that frustration and anger from years ago, from your, you know, 30s, 20s, teens, however long it's been, you know, childhood years. It's bringing up that frustration of like, why do I always have to give? Why am I never getting back what I deserve? And it's that shift in the way of looking at relationships that's starting to change, because I feel like Spirit's guiding you to reach this Ten of Pentacles where there is this balance, because you've been giving out so much. And I think you've been learning self-love and to give to yourself. I think that you have, but it's the dynamics in regards to relationships and how you viewed relationships that's transforming right now. But to understand and get clarity on that, it's the other end of feeling into these emotions, because I feel like your inner child has a lot to say. Maybe even your inner teenager has a lot to say and has grievance as a grievance that needs to come out, and has anger and frustration that needs to come out, you know. What you're going through right now is a purge right now, pile 2. So let's pull your final card. Pile number 2. What do my pile number 2s not see right now? What do my pile number 2s not see? We have this card, this sigil right here. So guys, I just looked at the book for the card, the sigil and what it means. And the sigil is actually called your trauma. And the first message, I'm not going to read it all because it's like a page full, but the first thing that comes up is, if you have drawn a sigil, you are not seeing how your own trauma is feeding into this situation and is causing reoccurrence, or is causing you to not see the objective truth of this situation beyond your filters. That's what, if you want to pause and see it, that's what it says here. And very much so, like I said, I feel like I don't need to go too deeper into that, because it's very much explaining with that card that there was a way in which you were looking at it, which is from the wounded inner child. But you've done already so much work on yourself that you should be proud of, that there's something that may have happened recently, or there's a new way of looking at what it is you've been through and dynamics with relationships, where you've finally gone, no, I'm sick of this, or no, I'm not putting up with this, or I'm done with this. And it's caused that crack because you've gone, this isn't for me anymore. That's how much you've grown and evolved. You're going, this isn't for me. I'm not doing it. And that crack is now allowing these emotions to come up, because now you're in a teenager, you're in a child, or that version of you that was in that first relationship where you went through, you know, a lot of pain. That version of you is going, oh, okay, now I can really express what I'm feeling because I held this back. And now you're telling me I can really express this. You're now holding space for me to express this. This is how I felt. I felt rejected. I felt this way. I am angry. I want to swear. I want to shout. I want to feel these feelings. I feel grief, you know? And those versions of you are now expressing that feeling. And now you are holding space for it. And while it looks, because from a spiritual perspective, and your higher self will go and, you know, that's beautiful. I've grown so much. These feelings are coming out. Wow, that's great. But I know full well that if you're in the midst of this, it doesn't feel beautiful. But I hope I'm able to allow you to see the work you've already done on yourself, and allowing those feelings to come out, you know. And right now, the focus is self-care. The focus is holding space for yourself. The focus is just chilling out and really listening and feeling, you know, those feelings that are coming out. And they're not going to be pleasant or comfortable, but they're being moved out, so they're gone, so they can be transmuted. And you'll find once they're transmuted, you don't really even need the shell then. It's like, oh, I'm equipped, you know, and I'm ready to be open now to something because I see it differently, and I'm ready to see people at face value. I'm ready to do that, you know. And if somebody can't meet my needs, I'm not going to take it as rejection. If somebody can't give me what I want, I'm not gonna you know, take that as me not being enough, you know. Plenty more fish in the sea, you know. That's the way you're going to look at it, and it won't trigger those wounds from before. There may be feelings that come up, but you'll be able to observe them and allow them to flow away. And I think that's the process you're going through right now, pile number 2. And right now the focus is self-care, and just holding space for yourself. So pile number 2, that is what I have for you guys. I really hope that this reading guided and helped you. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if it did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pile 3, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what you can't see right now. So you guys chose the lavender pouch. I'm going to start with tarot, and then we're going to move on to your oracle card. So let's get in. So pile number 3, please spirit guides, tap me into the collective of my pile number 3s. What can't my pile number 3 see right now? What is it that my pile number 3s can't see? Sorry if you can hear noise, guys. There's a lot of... The lady across the street, she has dogs. I actually really admire this. She has dogs, and every time she comes home, which is like 3 times a day, she screams in this high-pitched voice, like, hello! And the dogs like jump up, and she like gets really excited, and the dogs get really excited, and I hear it, and I'm like, I love that. That's great. But that's what that noise was, if you were wondering. Pile number 3. Pile number 3, please, spirit guides. What can't my pile number 3s see? I think things have been pretty chaotic for some time, and things are starting to return peaceful, and you might be feeling a bit like, oh, like you may have like worked on yourself for some time, and you may be looking at this reading like, oh, what do I need to work on? And you're ready, like you're ready to do it, because there's almost this feeling of like you don't need to do much. And then there's this feeling of like, you know that song from the Barbie movie, What Was I Made For, Billie Eilish, and she's like, what was I made for? There's like a feeling of that coming through, of like, am I enough? Like, I was already enough, you mean? Like, there's a feeling of that coming through, like, I was searching for a light, it was in myself, oh, what do I do now? Like, that's a feeling that I'm getting, which I'm gonna lay the cards, but that's kind of what I'm getting. Pile number 3. You know what it is? I think that maybe a lot of your life you have tailored yourself to other people's needs, or become what other people needed of you. And I think you've worked on yourself enough that you're now meeting who you are at your core. And there may be like an uncomfortable feeling, or like, it's just an odd feeling that you've never felt before, of like, I don't need to achieve anything outside of myself. The only person I'm competing with is myself. I just need to be who I need to be moving forward. Who am I? I don't know. What's my favorite color? I don't know. And I think you may have even been getting this message for some time, but there's almost a message from spirit of like, play, get to know yourself, spend time and have fun, like get to know yourself, trials and tribulations, like learn some lessons. You are now connected inwardly. Now it's time to build up who you are. What do you like? And you're kind of like, what type of sandwich do I like? I don't know. Like, you're getting to know yourself and your needs, and I think that may be just, it's not, I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable for you. It's more so like, I think you've spent a lot of your time in a race, like a lot of your life maybe in a race, or fighting this urge of like perfection that maybe was placed on you. And I think you started to realize that like, as long as you're okay with something, then that's fine. And now you're starting to feel like, oh, so what do I, like, I see you sitting at home, and it's like, what do I do now? you know, because I saw Beyonce talk about her tour the other day, and I haven't seen much of the tour she's on, but apparently it's a lot more of a loose tour. Like, she's not doing these perfectionistic like dance moves. She's really letting herself loose. And there was like a quote she'd said that as she got older, she realized it was less about like perfection and more about how it made her feel and how much she was enjoying herself, you know. Typical Virgo growth. That's beautiful. But like, that's what I'm feeling from you. You may have a lot of Virgo in your chart, I don't know, but there's this feeling of like jumping off the treadmill and not needing to chase something outside of yourself that you're reaching. And there's still this feeling of like, oh, because it's almost like I'm waiting for instructions, or I'm waiting to be told that I'm not doing enough, or I need to work on this, or this is happening. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that's not any messages that are coming through. And I feel like it's like you've created the garden, everything's set, now you've got to enjoy it, and now you're like, what do I do now? Just created the garden and I'm sitting in it and I don't know what to do. Like, that's what I'm getting. Let's get some cards. What can my pile number 3s not see right now? We have the 9 of Cups. What can my pile number 3s not see? We have the 3 of Cups as well. Let me use pile 1's crystal to cover up the indecent parts. Pile number 3. What can my pile number 3s not see right now? We have the 5 of Swords. It's like you're out of the rat race. You're getting out of the rat race. It's like I may not have X, Y, and Z, but I'm moving at my own pace, and that's where I'm at. I don't feel the need to look outside of myself. You may even have entered a relationship and you're used to maybe kind of chaotic relationships and it's moving smoothly, and you may have even been thinking, clicking on this reading, that something may come up about the relationship and then it's not, and you're kind of like, oh wow, things are actually running smoothly, okay, you know. And it's like I'm waiting for a storm, but the storm isn't coming. So it's just like, oh, so what do we do when the storm isn't here then? I've never, you know, I don't know how to experience that, you know. 3 of Wands. And the back of the deck we have the 4 of Swords. If you hear weird noises, it's the pole rubbing against the radiator, and I don't know why it's making that noise. It's only just started doing it. So the Magician, not the Magician, the 9 of Cups, the 3 of Cups, the 5 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. This era for you is going to be a lot more chill, because I think that there's a state of inner peace that you guys are reaching, and there isn't much to pull in regards to like instruction. I think that maybe at times in the past you might have even been your own worst enemy. Like, you could have had maybe in your childhood parents that were like wanting you to achieve certain milestones, or like you're only going to be worthy if you reach X, Y, and Z, or you have to be perfect at X, Y, and Z. And I think that you've had that mentality a lot of your life, that I feel like maybe you've done releasing and clearing, and at the same time as releasing and clearing, you've also been like building up your career or building up your finances, or maybe you've had children who've been, you know, clearing karma and making sure that doesn't fall onto your children. And there's so much focus. My brain's going at 100 miles per hour. Sorry if I'm speaking too fast, because that's how my brain feels. Whereas now it's like, I don't need to push myself like that. I don't need to achieve X, Y, and Z, and I can be okay in the present moment, and I don't need to be in this rat race. And I want to put these swords down, and I just want to be open to endless possibilities, and I just want to look at where I'm at right now and be okay with that. And I want to really sit in the present of that and just kind of chill with that. And even with the lavender, and you guys choosing the lavender, I always put lavender in my bath when I'm needing to soothe and fall back and, you know, feel that feeling of release and just allow my body to relax. You know, when I'm going through a panic attack, I'll sniff my lavender sachet or my lavender essential oil to allow my body to fall back and allow myself to just chill. And that's where Spirit's at. You're at this time period now where you're chilling and you're teaching your body it's okay to have an off day. It's okay to take time out. I don't need to be pushing myself. It's okay to just like watch a movie today. Like, that's okay. That's all right. And that's the actual message that Spirit's having coming through, like, nothing to report. Just take your time, balance into your energies. You've come so far. Be present in this moment, because, and I've been realizing this recently as well, we always wish to be either back at a particular time period, or we wish to be anywhere else than where we are at now. But when we move to another time period, we look back at this moment and we go, oh, remember that time when we had this, and that? That was a fun time. I'd love to experience that again. But we can't experience it again. It's gone. And the message here is for you guys to experience the present moment and where you are. Even if you haven't got everything that you need, or everything, you're not everything that where you want to be, you're where you need to be. And right now you're just being called to chill. I feel like you've really just like maybe picked yourself apart, or done loads of inner work and done loads of healing. You're being called to just rest, and not in the sense of like, oh, rest, purge. It's like, no, just rest and enjoy yourself, you know? Just allow yourself to float a little bit right now. Allow yourself to be like a jellyfish a little bit right now. Allow yourself to get to know who you are now. You've released so many layers of projections of other people. You're now starting to understand who you are. What do you like? You know, what do you like? What do you like to do? Because you might not even know. And that's where it's time to play and have fun and try that out. And again, I feel like you've had that message before, but it's the same message coming through because you're still in that state. I feel like you're waiting for like, oh, I need to jump and do this, I need to do that. And the strong message here is, nope, you need to spend time with you. Maybe even spend time with other people and allow them to mirror things towards you and see, you know, because we always look at it like, oh, people are mirrors and they mirror wounds. People actually also mirror light aspects to us too. People can bring out aspects of us too, you know. We can have friends that make us feel confident and allow us to activate that part of ourselves. Friends can hold space for us and allow us to show moments of vulnerability that we haven't before. There's a lot of light. And I think that you've gone through the mirroring and the deeper and the darker wounds and all of that. And now it's time to look at life in that lighter way and spend time looking at the beauty of life and what makes you happy and connecting with people that give you meaning and give life meaning, you know. I saw a post the other day and it was like, I know we look for like the negative in the world and the triggers in the world, but sometimes you want to look for the glimmers, and the glimmers was meant like things that make you want to be alive and make you want to live life, you know, whether it's like people that travel, people that are romanticizing their life in a certain way, people that have hobbies that make you feel good, animals, nature, whatever that is. And you're being called to spend time with those glimmers and find those glimmers. Kind of think of it like you're being called right now to play Pokemon Go, but the Pokemons that you are going after are the glimmers of life. And you don't really know what they look like. That's the beauty. You're going to find them and experience them. It's your time now to have fun, get to know yourself, and see all of those colors of the rainbow, because I feel like life might have been a little bit dark. It's your time now to just rest into your being and get to know what you like, you know, because you'll find your taste buds have changed, because now you know what you like. You know, maybe before you were just settling for having a cup of coffee with 2 sugars, but you're actually realizing right now, and it's as simple as this: I actually like tea, and I actually don't like sugars, I like a bit of honey, you know. And little things come up like that when you start to get to know yourself. And it sounds so silly. I remember I was in Superdrug, and I always got like aerosol deodorants, and I went in and instead of just like going for what I'd usually go after, because that was all I could like have, I would just grab that and take it. And I realized I liked roll-on deodorants. And when this is so silly, this is gonna sound so silly, when I realized I liked roll-on deodorants, because it was I didn't like the pressure of the aerosol, I actually started getting upset in a good way. Like I got emotionally upset, and I was like, wow, I really like roll-on deodorants. And that was just like a simple need and a little like that I had that I didn't realize. And it was so silly, but it was like I never would look at life, I would just accept anything. So I wouldn't be like, I like this, I like that. And then I started to realize a lot of things that I liked and styles that I liked. And actually I like this when I order food, and I like this and that. And those little needs, it became part of my personality. It had me building my ego back up, and I got to know myself on a deeper level, and I was able to have needs and boundaries and wants, and it moved into bigger things where it was like, this is my boundary because I like to feel like this. Or when I step in towards a relationship, I like to feel safe. Before, I never knew I liked to feel safe, and I was with a lot of people that didn't make me feel that way. But then when I understood my needs and those little things, it you know, it rolled over until it became like a big tumbleweed, and it was like, I like to feel safe. I like things that make me feel, you know, soft. I like things that make me feel gentle because I am that way inside. And it tumbles that way, and that's where you're at. And it can be as simple right now as popping into a drugstore and deciding you like roll-on deodorant rather than aerosol, because with roll-on it's a lot smoother, and it's not, you know, it's not like shh and boisterous. I really don't like the spray ones. However, it's as simple as that, and I know that sounds really little, but it rolls into something bigger. And that's why you're being called to just experience life right now, move at your own pace, and see what you like, because that way you're listening to your internal compass, you're listening to your own needs and your own feelings. And it's such a beautiful thing when you start to realize, like, I like this, I actually like this, instead of just kind of being on autopilot because you were taught to have this because you like this, and taught to have that because you like that, you know. And that's where you're at, because in regards to like any instructions for anything, like, there's a strong message of nothing to report, just chill and take this time to like find yourself, and don't make it a quest, just chill, let it come to you, let your body and your internal, you know, your energy, allow it to show you. Because right now you're being called to play Pokemon Go, but with the glimmers of life, you know. I like that thought, that's really cute. Pile number, because do you remember when Pokemon Go, I remember going in to see, I had a friend at the time, she worked in Greggs. If you are anywhere in the UK, Greggs is like a pastry shop, and she worked in there, and I remember going to see her, popping in to check on her, and she said people had been going in and out of Greggs all day with their phones, because there was a Pokemon by their sandwiches, so people were coming in and capturing the Pokemon and running off. That's what she was saying. And it's just made me think of, like, you don't know where you're going to find these glimmers, and it could be in something little like finding a sandwich that you like in a shop, or finding a perfume that you like somewhere and that's now your new signature because you love sweet stuff, like little things like that, and then it turns into something bigger, you know. That's why I like that Pokemon analogy, because you never know where you're gonna find one of those glimmers that turns into something bigger, you know. Pile number 3. What do my pile number 3s not see right now? What guidance? We have the Wheel of Fortune. This is guidance from your spirit guides. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I'm just going to cover the little man because he is naked. Wheel of Fortune. What message do pile number 3 spirit guides have right now? We have the 9 of Wands. Wheel of Fortune, 9 of Wands. Oh. And Knight of Cups. I think you're also going to meet people too, and I think that people are going to mirror some beautiful things back to you too, and I think parts of you are going to open up. Parts of you are going to be activated that you didn't see before. We have the 6 of Swords. If you can see, it's all burning here, but he's being lifted over to this side. So I feel like you've already alchemized and purged and let go of the projections other people have put on you, and how you used to look at life, maybe just in autopilot or just doing whatever you needed to do to survive. A lot of the times we adapt a personality and a version of ourselves when we're in survival, but when we purge and we, you know, let go of that version of ourselves, it transmutes into something different, and it falls and comes back in a different way, and we meet another version of ourselves that is, you know, that version of us that is open to feeling love, and that version of us that's open to seeing the light in the world, and that's a different version of us. But we have to meet that version, and it's through other people, it's through little things, it's all curated through that. And that's the phase you're going into, which is super beautiful. With this Wheel of Fortune, you're the one that's turned the wheel. I think you've really worked on yourself to get yourself where you are. Now it's time to settle into that, and not so much search, but just kind of walk about and let things surprise you, and try out different things and see how they make you feel. I thought it was a 9 of Wands, and it's not, it's the 8 of Wands. I don't know why I thought that was the Nine of Wands. 8 of Wands, and then the Knight of Cups. The shift that's happening for you that you're not seeing is physical timelines moving around you right now that you're not aware of. These physical timelines are being shifted and curated around you because of the internal work you've already done. The more you're settling in, you're being in that divine feminine state of receiving, and they're flowing to you. But they're coming into manifestation right now. It wouldn't shock me if you meet someone soon. Doesn't have to be a relationship. Could be a partnership, but what you're not seeing is there's a lot of timelines being woven for you, where a lot of people are going to be joining your journey in this next path you're on, and it's going to be about experiencing people, connecting with people, enjoyment and life lessons in the physical, and I think you're going to be learning about life lessons that don't have to be so heavy and hard. I think you've had lots of heavy and hard lessons, and I think you're going to be learning of the life lessons that are a lot more upbeat and exciting, you know. And it's normal for you guys to go, hang on a minute, but the storm's going to come, or things are seeming a bit too quiet. That's very normal. Very normal. But you're being called to open up to those possibilities. And right now, just take your time. Just spend time with yourself. See what you like. Try something new on the menu. Like, that's what you're being called to do. Final card for my pile number 3s. Pile number 3, final card. What are my pile number 3s not seeing right now? What are my pile number 3s not seeing right now? We have this sigil. Looks like a smiley face. I'm hearing Don't Worry, Be Happy. Here's a song, here's a little song I wrote. Something, something, don't worry, be happy. That's what I'm hearing. There's like a message from Spirit. Let me just check which card it is for you guys. 71. Depletion. If you have drawn the sigil, you are depleted. You can't do what is necessary because you have no energy, and therefore no forward movement can occur until you replenish yourself in some way. You've just let go of so much of yourself, and you are so quick to perfect yourself that before that energy can make its way all the way back round and rebirth in the present, before that energy can even come back round and come back in the form of glimmers through people and experiences, it's like you're already waiting for your next task. It's like, where is it? I'm ready. Like, what's going on? And Spirit's like, hang on a minute, it hasn't made its way full circle. Like, it's at 70%. It's like, I'll tell you what, my shaman that I work with, she had a necklace and it had Isis on it, and she was out in nature and she felt this call to bury it in the earth, and she didn't want to because she loved the necklace. And she had this message from Mother Gaia, like, no, bury it, it'll come back around in another form. She buried the necklace in the earth, and she's been going to Egypt a lot. She's going to start holding retreats in Egypt soon. And she went to stay with this family that she knows out there. When she had it out there, they gave her a gift when she came to their home. The gift was this brand new shiny gold Isis necklace that was like a bigger and better revamped version of the one she'd buried less than a month prior. And she was like, that's the universe's way of like, let go of the old, something new can come in. So I think you've purged a lot of these triggers and releases, and they're now making their way to be transformed in glimmers and light. But you're so quick the way you move, and you're so like, next shift, next movement. You've been so used to that. It hasn't even made its way around yet to come back in glimmers, because it's like you're being called to settle into like receiving and chill. It's like this antsy feeling of like, what's next? And it's like you're even ahead of time almost. And Spirit's like, chill, like chill. There's this funny meme of this guy, and he's like, daddy, chill. And the guy's like, what does that even mean? It's really funny. But that's what I'm hearing right now, for you guys to just like chill, sit with your feelings. What do you like to do? You know, maybe you're deciding you prefer baths to showers. Maybe you're just deciding that you like walks at the beach better than you like walks in the forest. Just listen to those feelings right now. And when things are ready to sprinkle in, they're going to come in. And you settling into that is going to have you open to them. That's why you chose lavender. And I would say maybe to get some lavender. Actually, I'm not even going to push you towards a herb. I'm going to say, see what you're drawn to and see what feels right for you. Now that you're getting to know your inner world and yourself. But I'm not even going to push lavender. I'm just going to say, see what feels good for you. I just shared psych bursts for someone. Someone may be thinking of that. But see what feels right. That's what I would say. But right now, it's time to play Pokemon Go, guys. So pile number 3, that is what I have for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed the reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching. And hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching.